Hello and welcome back. This is the review video of the Mini Fabrikator version 2, and I want to start off by just saying that the old Mini Fabrikator was a 3D printer that I liked quite a lot, and everything that I liked about the old version I even like more about the new one. Let's start off with the manual, for example. The manual is very simple and very straightforward. It contains all the information you need to get going. And that's about it. It's simple to get the printer to work, and once you have it working, you're basically done with the manual. I like that a lot. The second thing that I liked is the SD card that came with the printer, because it contains everything that you need to get going. It also includes the manual, it includes the drivers, it includes the software you need to set up the printer. It has some sample files on it, and it even has one auto print file on it. So if you don't have anything to start with, you can just push in the card, set up and power up the printer, and it will start printing an object for you. And that is good. I did have some issues with Repetier host and the communication with this printer, but I don't know if that is on my part or if it's an issue with the firmware. It wasn't. It were some warnings, and I think the software took care of it. The objects that I printed, and I did print quite a lot, given the fact that I've only had it for like 3 days now, and most of the calibration and test targets that I printed worked out fine. In fact, they worked out better than fine. They worked out to a degree that made them surpass the first version of the printer. Let's clear this up. I will be showing you the whole setup and some of the printing work that I did when I'm done with the review part, but that will take a little bit longer, so I thought I'd put the review up in front. This here's the last object that I printed, and it's the object that comes as the auto print file on here, and you can actually see that it is very nice quality. The printer is doing a very good job. One thing to note is that if you want to have really good results, you need to go slow on this printer, but basically that's the same on all of the cheaper printer models, and it was a lot more so with the version 1. So this one is still going rather quickly, but if you want something done in high quality, you must give it some time. Now, what are the features that this thing excels at? You have to actually say it's the feature richness. It's got SD card support, it's got direct USB printing support, it's even got Wi-Fi support. I couldn't get that one running, and I will be coming back to that once I have it running and make another video about it, because I find it pretty interesting. But for some reason my Windows 7 just wouldn't let me use that. But I'll come back to that. I'm pretty sure that was not the printer's fault, but maybe it was my installation or something. The things that I printed came out good. If I tried to go fast, they didn't come out excellent, but they came out good, and that's what I expect from a printer of this price range and of the size. What I also liked about it is the heated print bed. which I think no other printer of that size even has, and let alone at that price point. So that's a really nice feature. Apart from that, this is just a neat thing, and it's super new. I don't know how many of these they've shipped yet, but I think we're going to see some improvement in the firmware over time. I'm pretty sure that people will sit down and create settings files for Courier or Slicer or ScanForge, and to get the absolute maximum out of this printer. And I think that's something that everyone can look forward to. So I'll leave you with this now and show you basically what I did over the last 3 days and some of the tests that I was running and some of the issues that I ran into. And I hope you enjoy this video. Thank you for watching, and thank you for staying on. Enjoy. Hello and welcome back. This is part 2 of the Mini Fabrikator version 2 review, and I went ahead, I plugged everything in, I put everything up, I went onto the HobbyKing website and I downloaded this manual, and I didn't even have to do that because the manual and all the drivers and all the tools that you need are already on this micro SD card that comes with the 3D printer. But I printed it out anyway, and I've already gone ahead and I did the basic setup, and there were a few surprises along the way, all of them very pleasant. First of all, the manual is pretty good, and most of the surprises that came were, I didn't know that the 3D printer actually featured a heated print bed, and the speeds that are set up in the firmware are actually also pretty good. They're not super fast, but they're fast enough to get pretty good results. Also, along with the drivers and the tools that you need, also the serial port driver for the printer is also on the SD card. And along with all of that, everything is there that you need to get started. And everything is pretty well referenced in the manual. So that's an absolute plus for this printer, and you can actually see that the people who have done this have some experience with this. And this leads me to the next thing. The people who have done this printer appear to be Malian, and I'm a pretty big fan of the Malian printer family. First of all, because they simply work, and second of all, because they last. My Malian M180 is super old, and it's going exactly the way it did on the first day. So if this is really a Malian product, that would be super. Some of the information in here is pretty nice. It doesn't say how much power the hot end in the 3D printer has, but I'm guessing it is between 25 and 40 watts, which would be ample power. And the nozzle diameter is set to be 0.4 millimeters. With a printer this small, I would have wished that they also include a 0.3 millimeter nozzle, because it just gives you a little bit more resolution and it makes your prints look a lot nicer. Apart from that, the list of features of the small printer is amazing. It supports direct printing through Repetier host. It supports direct printing through the SD card using Repetier host. The printer has Wi-Fi support with a Wi-Fi serial driver to be used also with Repetier host, and the printer has its own web interface through which you can print too. For a printer this size and that price, this is absolutely new. I'm really looking forward to trying it out. So I did go ahead and I did all the things that were mentioned in the set print parameters chapter of the setup guide. And for setting up the Cura engine slicer, there's actually a slicer profile file included on the SD card, and I imported that, and those values look okay, look pretty good to me. And this actually brings us to the next step, and that will be setting the printer home and actually moving it for the first time. And that's what I'm going to start doing right now. I'm going to set up a second camera for that, and so we can actually see what the printer is doing, and be back in a second. So, okay, now what I'm going to do first is I'm going to go and get a piece of paper. Piece of paper is pretty important when you set up your printer for the first time, because a piece of paper usually is, when it's folded once over, exactly the right distance between nozzle and print bed that you're supposed to have. A lot of people say just use a single piece of paper, but in my experience it's easier with one folded over once. Now let's click connect. It says connected, that looks good. Then click on manual control. Let's see if we can actually get some movement going here. Right. That seems to work. None of the values that you're actually seeing right now make any sense, because the printer has to home each and every one of the axes. So first we're going to click on the home X axis, which worked, and we're going to home the Y axis. That worked too. Then we're going to move both axes right back into the middle position, which would be 5 clicks on the 10 millimeters and that would be the middle. And then we're slowly going to move the Z-axis down. And oh yeah, that is really slow. Okay, now that we're almost at the bottom, I'm going to put a piece of paper under the nozzle. And my piece of paper is too big. So we'll just reduce that. And now I'm going to click the home Z-axis to actually see if it goes down, because I do have to move it all the way into the switch. I can either do that manually until it stops moving, or I can do the last few millimeters using the home Z-axis. There are 4 screws at the bottom of the table which are used to not only align the table, but also make sure that you have the right distance nozzle at home position and table. So that is what the small Allen wrench that was, the small hex key that was accompanied with the printer is there for. So here we go. Touchdown. And this is a little bit snug, so we're going to move the table down just the tiniest bit. And we're going to do that using small key. So I'm going to put half a revolution on each and every one of these screws. Okay. That's not good. Okay, for this test I'm going to use some pretty standard gray filament, PLA. I like this one because it works pretty well starting at about 185 degrees Celsius, so you don't have to heat this up too much. I did just figure out that this filament spool actually doesn't fit the spool holder that is on here, because it's just too tight. So spools with a larger center hole would probably work, but this one doesn't. But no matter. I'll just use one of these spool pucks, and that should work out. Mounting the filament is pretty simple. Just straighten your filament and thread it by the stepper. And once it's in there, you're done. There was some criticism about me cutting this pipe, but I stand by what I did, because it seems to have a very nice bend now with no kink, and what I took away was excess. If you're not confident doing it, don't do it. It'll work either way. So that is just something that's maybe a bit of experience. I don't know, but it worked for me. Just be careful when you cut something. If you don't know that you're good cutting it, don't do it. Okay, now filament is loaded. The printer is connected. Basically everything is set up. I'm going to load a calibration target or maybe even a benchmark target, and let's see this little thing print something. Okay, this fan in here is really loud. I decided to print a calibration target and let's see if we can get this going. I'm going to preheat by hand. And then see what happens. This little fan is actually providing a little bit of airflow under here, and that could be just enough for the printer. What I didn't do yet, I didn't actually prime the extruder with the new filament that I put in. So when the print bed and the extruder have heated, I'm actually going to extrude a bit of material. So there's actually filament in the extruder. Okay. It looks like there was some filament in the extruder before. Maybe it was tested when the printer was put together. Okay. Let's start a very simple print. So I deliberately set the print speed to very low for this test. and this is just going to print one shell with no infill, and the function of this is to verify that the sizes between the inner walls and outer walls are correct, and that the thickness of the walls are also correct. As you can probably see, that the design and the build of the axis, the belt and the transport, this is actually pretty elaborate. Also, this little extruder that is in here, that's actually a make and a design that I've never seen before. And but it is quite similar to others that I've seen in a higher price range, so I think this could do well. And the print itself also looks pretty decent. So the print is actually finished now, and it didn't take all that long to make, so speed was good. I accelerated the printing quite a bit because it was going really slow, but it didn't actually do anything bad. Looking into the printer like this, we can actually see that there are belt tighteners here. There's the cabling for the heated print bed. This here is the back of the extruder. And the extruder fan, which is guiding air over the extruder cooler, and then over the print itself. The print itself looks pretty good. I'm not worried that the lowest layer didn't turn out right. That is to be expected with this type of benchmark print. The end switches are mechanical, and the cabling is very simple but quite efficient, and has a very nice touch to it. It looks very well designed. So it's a neat little printer. Now let's have a look at the benchmark print. The surface quality looks very good. So do the edges. The extrusion width should be about the width of the nozzle, plus a little extra for over extrusion. The nozzle width is supposed to be 0.4 millimeters, and that's about 25% over extrusion. That is quite good. The expected width of the part itself is supposed to be 20 millimeters. It's a bit hard to get right because it's flexible, but we're getting really close here. It's about 20.02. That is a pretty respectable value. Not a lot of printers get this, and this is supposed to be 40 millimeters, and we're getting 40.07, which is completely in line with what we're expecting. A small gap here is supposed to be about 0.4 millimeters, and it's 0.9. It's supposed to be 4 millimeters, and I'm getting about 0.93 to 0.95, which is also pretty good. So it appears that the printer is working really swell. This should be 0. Wait, here we go. This should be 7 millimeters, where there's a gap in the material, and it's 7.1. And all in all, those are very nice values. Focus, please. Pretty good thing for a first print. Okay, now let's try and print something prettier. Here we go. Okay, this print finished. Well, let's have a look at the result. This actually looks okay. There's some slight problems with the overhangs, but the sides look very even. The corners look very good. There is maybe a slight bit of over extrusion, and maybe the filament was a bit too hot, but the result looks very good. This here is a low poly Yoshi. I like these prints because they have a lot of overhangs, and they start out as two pieces and then join up. The result isn't perfect, but this is the first print, so there's a lot to be learned from this. And another thing that I noticed was that while the printer was getting very hot, it let off a smell of melting plastic. I'm going to investigate where that came from, but that could simply be the extruder getting hot for the first time. And I think that's what it was, because it stopped immediately after the print. For a first print, this is very good. It's not perfect. Well, this isn't the most expensive printer, but it's a pretty good start. And taking what I've learned about this printer today, about the price, about the features, about setting it up, I'm pretty happy. This is a nice printer. I will do a lot more research, and I will print more benchmark pieces to try to find out what the preferences are for oozing, maximum overhang, things like that, bridging, and that's going to be the next video. But for now, I'm quite happy with this result. This is pretty good, and this is a very nice printer. I like the features. I like the printer itself. The material is very nice. The speed is also quite impressive. Features are ample, and now we'll just have to get to know it and find out how good it can be. For now, this is it. Thanks for watching, and bye bye.